Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It is a victory Thursday. Merry Clinchmas, everybody. The Kings are obviously in the playoffs. I'm hyped. I'm sure many of us all are hyped. 16-year playoff drought, the longest drought in North American sports, is now officially over. Now that title goes to the New York Jets. And also Ramadan Mubarak, everybody. For those of you who are fasting like me. I wasn't planning on making a video during Ramadan because, it requires a lot of energy to make these videos. But hey, whatever. So ultimately, let's talk about the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, obviously had over to 20 points last night, or 18, 20 points. Keegan Murray, 188 threes. He set the rookie 3-point record, breaking the previous record set by Donovan Mitchell, I believe 186, 187, back in 2017. And then obviously, Mike Brown, being able to get the Kings their first ever playoff berth in over 16 seasons in his first year as head coach, right? That's pretty remarkable. Monte McNair in his third year as GM, president of basketball operations, and essentially Malik Monk, NBA Sixth Man of the Year. There's a lot of good things to see there. Domantas Sabonis leading the league in double doubles. Obviously, the only other center with the 500 rebounds and 500 assists is Nikola Jokic, who's the most probable MVP candidate. If Embiid doesn't take it this season. So, obviously, the Kings won last night, 120-80 over the Portland Trailblazers. They were out Lillard, but they still have Matisse Thybulle and other players. So, I think it was really kind of significant of how the Kings really wanted to get that playoff berth secured and not really rely on losses of other teams. And if they had done that, we would still be waiting at least another few days for them to get a playoffs berth, because the Clippers and both the Clippers and the Suns won last night. So now that we're basically here on a beautiful Thursday morning here in Sacramento, obviously, the instant reaction, obviously the aftermath, everyone here is very excited. I haven't actually driven outside yet. I haven't been outside since last night. So I'm going to see, kind of what the atmosphere is like here in Sac. I'm sure it's going to be pretty wild. Obviously near Goldman Center. And obviously for me, I live pretty close to Goldman Center. So anyways, for me personally, I moved to Sac around 2014, and, it's just been a phenomenal kind of run, phenomenal transformation to see how far the Kings have developed as a franchise, as a team. Mike Brown really has proven he is the guy for this job. Monte McNair as well has proven he is the guy, for the GM position. And, obviously the Kings, and the fans, I think, Kate Christensen said it best last night. The Kings fans were the ultimate winners. She'd been here, she's been here with the Kings for over I think 20 years now, right? Since their last playoff berth. And she was emotional, she was choked up, crying. Morgan Reagan, right, from the co-host of the Deuce and Mo podcast, she was also very emotional, but she was more elated rather than emotional, like crying. But she did say Deuce was crying when he FaceTimed her last night on the post game with Kyle Draper and Kenny Thomas. So, I wish they would have recorded that. That would have been great, but ultimately, the Kings as a franchise, and obviously the Kings fans, myself and many others, right? This is just a huge moment, a huge milestone for the Kings. I think now, looking ahead, in order to clinch the Pacific Division, they just have to win, I believe, Friday night. I'm going to be there Sunday, for my birthday. I was not able to get my name on the Titantron because I was not able to, request it 7 days in advance. But essentially now, looking forward, I think the Kings are in a good position to, and so, yeah. Definitely a great time to be a Kings fan. I'm excited to see where they go in the playoffs. Obviously, for many of us who have been waiting for so long, right? Like I stated, you had Chris Webber, you had Doug Christie, you had and who was also on the Kings coaching staff, right? You had Mike Bibby, you had Vlade Divac, you had Bobby Jackson, you had Scott Pollard, you had all the different, kind of, playmakers, from the greatest show on court days, and Rick Adelman, Mike Brown, it's very similar actually, because, Rick Adelman, he came into a franchise which had not made the playoffs, I believe, in 9 seasons from 87-96. I think ESPN reported 83 to 98. So I don't know. Maybe it's 83-98, so it was 15 years. And then they went on eight consecutive playoff runs under Rick Adelman, right? And of those 8, they made one of those were the West Conference Finals against the eventual NBA three-peat champions, Los Angeles Lakers, and one of the greatest Western Conference Finals of all time, which went to 7 games. Was produced as a result of that run. I'm not saying this Kings team can make it out of the first round, or I would hope to say that they can make it out of the first round, and like I predicted with Jim Rome, right? 50 plus wins and a first round win a playoff series. But I'm excited to see kind of where they can take this. There's a lot of momentum right now with this team, and obviously the energy around Sacramento is really great. I think that the Kings, being such a young team, right? I think one of the youngest teams in the league, not the youngest, it bodes well for them to kind of get some experience working, in the playoffs. And I think ultimately, we'll see kind of how it all shapes out in terms of kind of how well they adjust to playoff basketball, right? I think, the last couple games, have shown kind of, they have given the Kings a taste of what they're going to have to expect coming into the postseason, right? Obviously against the T-Wolves and the Jazz, two back-to-back losses. The T-Wolves are obviously a hot team right now. They've won their last 3 or 4 straight road games. And then they're basically gunning, and I'm hoping the Kings don't see them in the first round. I'm hoping that we see the Warriors instead. Not Warriors, but maybe Warriors are more favorable, but Warriors or Clippers, I think Clippers would be the most favorable matchup for the Kings in the first round. I don't agree with Brian Windhorst, the whole, the defensive, the weakness, all that stuff. I don't agree with any of that. I think the Kings are definitely a team that, can gel, and they play great defense at the right time, to win the game. It may not be overall defensive. It may not be reflecting the overall defensive rating. It may not be the most flashiest defense, for all 4 quarters, but like De'Aaron Fox leads the league in clutch points in the fourth, right? And he leads the league in fourth quarter scoring. The Kings get the job done when the job needs to get done. And I think that's one of the most hallmark kind of, one of the most hallmark kind of characteristics of this team. So yeah, ultimately, I think, this is going to be a short, sweet episode. I think, Sacramento has, been, I lived in Sacramento, like I said, for over 9 years. I moved there, back in 2014 before Arco was decommissioned, and they basically, put together the new Kings Arena sleep train. And, essentially now, you see how far they've come, over the past 9 years, 8 years, I guess you could say, because, the last season in Arco was the 2015 season. And obviously then they moved to Golden One. So we'll see how it all shapes out. But I do think the Kings, there's a lot to be excited for, right? Kind of heading this postseason. You saw the fans last night outside Golden One celebrating. Yeah, it's a great time. So, I think, I hope that they, continue this momentum. They play the Trailblazers again in a few days, and then they also, I think, tomorrow, and then they come back home, and I'll be there for that game. I wasn't able to get my name on that billboard again because I wasn't able to, call them in advance. It was kind of a whimsical purchase, just purchase on the whim. So, obviously next time I'll have to plan better. But I'm excited to go for my birthday. There might be a video outside of this one on my birthday. But we'll see how it shapes out. For the Kings. I think in closing thoughts, I think Mike Brown's coach of the year, De'Aaron Fox and Domas Sabonis are going to be all NBA team members. Keegan Murray is going to be a strong, if not the favorite for rookie of the year. And Malik Monk's going to be 6th man of the year. So hopefully this team can also, continue. If they do end up winning most, if not all, the accolades I just listed, hopefully they can keep up that momentum in the playoffs and actually prove why the accolades were given. So, anyways, I think So we'll see. I'm excited for this team. It's a history, right? Historic time. All right, everyone. Thank you all for tuning into this short but sweet episode. Ramadan Mubarak to anyone who's fasting like me. And don't forget, everyone, light the beam.